Development's Country Program Manager for the People's Republic of China. After the closed-door meeting, Jatta told GRTS that Madam Jai Sedi was exploring the possibility of establishing links with the fund to further develop rural Gambia and the agricultural sector. We were able to put her in contact with the director of the Division for Western Central Africa of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, as well as I offered for her to be able to meet our president, the President Felix Wanze, Kanayo Felix Wanze, who is a Nigerian, now the president of IFAD since 2 years now. And together, the idea is to see how the Gambia and IFAD can work much closely together to develop the agricultural sector and make sure that rural poverty, which is a scourge in the whole world now, rural poverty can be alleviated much faster. A day after the meeting between the Vice President and the IFAD China Country Program Manager, Gambian national Sadafode Keba Jatta, IFAD's Director for the Africa 1 Division, Mohamed Biavogu, met with Madam Jai Sedi.
I had the opportunity, of course, to be received by the Vice President of Gambia during her visit in Rome. And, of course, what comes immediately on the table is the cooperation between the government of Gambia and my institution, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. As you know, we have a long-standing cooperation. We have an important program and a portfolio of projects in the country. And this was an opportunity, of course, to look at where we are, what kind of progress are we doing, and do we have a real impact on the ground, you know, with the investment we are putting in Gambia. That's one of the issues that was discussed. The second issue was about the new Gambian Agricultural Investment Program, GNIPE, which is in cabinet presently being discussed. This investment program synthesized the vision of Gambia for the development of the rural sector in the country, including agriculture, environment. And she presented this to us, the ambitions of the government, and of course requested that we bring some support, particularly with the funding gap.
The Vice President wrapped up her French meetings with a Sunday morning closed-door meeting with Sheila Sisulu, the Deputy Executive Director of the World Food Programme. The issues that cropped up were cross-cutting.
The Vice President is very, very interested in the work of the World Food Programme, not only in disaster management, but also in nutrition. And we also discussed the issue of agriculture and access to food. So these 4 areas for us are also very important. We want to work with the Gambia on ensuring that during disasters, all population groups within a disaster area are able to access nutritious food timelessly. We share this with the Vice President, but also we want to work with the government of the Gambia to enable them to be able to use the tools that we have to manage disaster, to prepare for disaster, and more importantly, to prevent disasters. And so we're going to be cooperating very closely with the government on those areas.
2 women also discussed the Gambian National Agricultural Investment Plan. Francis Mendy, GRTS.
You can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio live. Meanwhile, the Vice President and Chairperson of the National Security Council is continuing her tour of security installations and facilities across the country. Ajahn Dr. Isatunjai Sedi and entourage, which include the heads of the different units that make up the national security apparatus, on Tuesday visited Sibanol Military Post, Sibanol Police Station, and Kafuta Tumbung Military Post. We hope to bring you more on that in our subsequent news bulletins. They are predominantly farmers and are found mostly in the north of the country. Guinea-Bissau's closely knit Majago communities are still maintaining their indigenous cultures and beliefs. Ibrahim Balde accompanied history students of the University of the Gambia on an academic visit to Kanchunku. and he now takes a close look at the origin of the Manjagos and the untold story of two families steeped in their own beliefs.
Bissau ethnically separated regions, the Manjaco tribe is mostly found in Kanchunku, a bustling settlement with a population of close to 7,000 people, according to the 2008 census report. Depending on the type of car used, Kanchunku is approximately 1 hour drive from the capital, Bissau. Like in the Gambia, the Manjacos in Bissau are active in the area of agriculture, the rearing of pigs, and sometimes reside in distant locations surrounded by fruit trees. They are strong believers in typical African tradition and culture. The history students from the Gambia descended on the town to capture the untold story of the Manjaco migration around the continent. It was not the first time students from the Gambia have embarked on such research, only that this time around the scope and dimension of the research covered 2 worlds of Manjaco families absorbed in their own beliefs. In Kanchunku, the head of the Pereira family took time out of his schedule to share with the students the untold story of the Manjaco ethnic group. As head of family, Pereira told us that they believe in traditional way of living and how they remember the dead.
Ancestors that do chores, they make it just to see somebody that's passed away off to the the place of death people, because they have some place that they call that people that died have to stay.
However, the Njai family in Pelund and other Manjaco settlement profess to be Muslims. The Senegambian scholar Abdou Njai was reportedly said to have converted the family into Islam since 1911.
Today here in Plundo, almost 90% of population are Muslims.
Both families live in separate villages. They have one thing in common. They are originally from Basarel. The colonial conquest that swept across political entities referred to today as the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Senegal, Mali, and Mauritania, coupled with the 15th century religious wars. The Manjaco moved to uncharted territories and found homes and settled down. Around the Pereira neighborhood in Kanchunku, a student showed us how the Manjaco family maintained this shrine as a way of talking and consulting with the dead in times of adversity. Still in the same environment, we met another family and inspected a wooden box constructed to specifically pass some pieces of information. Kausu Drame used to teach history and had one time been confronted with a question in class which he claimed was tough. It has been an exceptional research.
I was treating the ethnic groups of the Gambia. I treated the Mandinkas, I treated the Wolofs, the Fulas, the Sarahules, the Jolas, not knowing that there were also other ethnic groups in the classroom.
As the narrators wrap up their presentations, the head of the research team, Esa Toure, explained what he thought was useful to note.
To understand the diverse and the collective participation of all the ethnic groups in the struggle for independence, Manjaco's participation was identified.
The young researchers left the Manjaco community satisfied, having spent time listening and digesting what the narrators had to say after several hours of presentation. The UTG history students are now going with an imaginary picture of how the Manjacos live side by side with each other in these settlements. Ibrahima Balde, GRTS.
The National Environment Agency is seeking to popularize strategic program activities embedded in the second Gambia Environmental Action Plan of 2009-2018. The exercise has attracted participants from institutions with stakes in environmental issues. GRTS's Babakar Kamara takes a look at the significance of the new environmental blueprint that is being linked to the State of the Environment report.
It is a focus group meeting that is bringing environmental stakeholders at the table, this time around bidding on a popularization campaign for the new Environmental Action Plan.
We are going around sensitizing the public on the Gambia Environmental Action Plan. And you know, we link it together with the state of the environment. That is the document that told us how the state of the environment is. And even getting the state, then how will we protect it? Then we came up with the Gambia Environmental Action Plan that will give us guidelines on how we are going to work to achieve the sustainable use of the environment.
Efforts of the green-oriented agency started in 1993, providing a framework for environmental policy planning and natural resource management on a continuous basis. This blueprint subsides with